Tech Tuesday, back again, and we are double stacked, wrapped around, all the good stuff, and we're working on motorhomes. Folks, my name is Neil with SFJ4x4.com, Simpson Family Jeeps in Conneaut, Ohio, shooting another Tech Tuesday. We're gonna walk you around. This one might be a scoosh more involved than normal because A, we've got a lot of things going on, and B, there's just a ton of cool Jeeps on property that I want to tell you about. We've got a lot of projects and interesting things that we're trying to work through to better support you, the Jeep community. So let's get after it. We'll get down off this high spot and we'll walk and work our way through these very cool vehicles waiting for service. We're gonna hang out over here. We got Jeffrey was doing 3/4 ton, 1 ton big truck things out of his Gladiator. I don't know if you would have saw it in the other footage, but he's hooked up to the trailer. He just took one of our TJ frame off restoration jobs over to the body shop to do a little tweak and turn on the tub that the customers bought. It unfortunately had actually had a frontal impact and kind of accordion the tub. So Jeffrey took that over. You'll definitely want to follow along with that build here on our social media, but also as we do the updates, that customer has been posting on her Facebook, and it is Harley the Money Pit. Really cool TJ resto mod. Here, this is just the coolest Sprinter van towed setup. And so a towed is when you have your RV and it pulls your Jeep, and it could be a car, a smart car, a truck, or whatever, and they call that a towed. And so what we've done here, a little piece that not everybody knows about, is that we oftentimes do a lot of RV service work with Jeeps. So whether you are camping out of your Jeep, whether you are pulling an adventure trailer with your Jeep, or your RV is pulling your Jeep, we are particularly skilled in mating them together, more so than your average camping RV business, because our mindset is to make sure that your Jeep is fully off-road functional and not just an everyday daily driver. So we make sure that all the plugs are up all of the way, all of the connecting points, and we make sure that your camping trailer, towing, overlanding, expensive camping stuff is appropriately stowed and working cohesively. So that's why we have this here. We are actually setting this up. We recently did a Roadmaster, a full Roadmaster Nighthawk tow bar, brake system with a really nice rock hard 4x4 bumper, and we'll show you that on the customer's Jeep when we get over there. This particular unit, we're marrying them together, making sure that the lights are all 100% functional from the RV back. So we'll actually have that RV in the shop in the very near future to make sure all of our electrical connections are working seamlessly on it before we hook it up to the Jeep and send it off on its adventures. As we move down the line here, this particular Jeep is in for a aux locker in the rear and Yukon 488 gears. Look at them folks. Here to pick up Serenity, and we'll talk about that. So 488 gears, aux locker in the rear, and we're trying to determine the front traction device that the customer would like to see happen in there. Wasn't exactly a planned re-gear, but here we are, and this is what we're gonna do. As we move along, we're moving into some 12-volt wiring, CAN bus hiccups. This particular Jeep has that intermittent CAN bus short where communication gets a little gobbledygook with the Jeep, and ultimately we got to go in and find out what sensor or wire or component is shorting out and, making the Jeep go crazy. As we move down the line, We are double stacked on Jeeps as we get closer to the building. The Jeep closest to us has a no start issue. We've gone through the process to verify that it is likely connected to the clutch switch. So when you put your clutch in, it actually acts as a neutral safety switch to make sure that you can't start the Jeep in gear. Behind it is Harley the Money Pit. We've actually built them a full chassis, basically not using any parts off of the original donor Jeep. That will come still. We continue down, we've got Artie. I was actually out driving Artie today to really try and figure out our left pull, our left drift. I've actually went ahead and squared up the suspension. It's long arm from Iron Rock Off-Road. It had a rock crawler lift kit on it before. With both of those lift kits, we went from the Adventure Series to the X Series and Rock Crawler, and now into the Iron Rock Off-Road long arm. With the first Adventure Series kit, we actually had a nice straight down the road experience, and now with the X Series and now the Iron Rock, we have a little bit of a left drift. I've actually went ahead and wholly squared up the suspension, and then our team has played with caster alignment side to side to create a low caster experience that would ideally pull the Jeep and force it back to the right a little bit through our caster alignment. Unfortunately, that didn't seem to do it either. We've had the PSC system off of it, and the PSC ram actually sits at a perfect resting neutral, which is a really cool thing to observe in live time, to say, you know, that actually as the fluid is pumping and your hand is on the wheel, you can actually control that hydraulic ram either way. And then when you stop and you close the valve, the ram just sits there at a resting neutral. Really neat to see. Long story short, it's all functioning perfectly, but we still have this little drift and back. Little drift and then I pull it back. Still working through it. The Baker effect is in front of it. We got to get the last fit and finish pieces on that before it heads back to the Carolinas. We have, this one just showed up. They're here to pick up Serenity. We'll tell you about that here in a second. Swing over, we got Doc Brown's Ultimate Axle and 37's JK. Folks, I want to tell you about this one. We don't really make it a habit to sell whole vehicles, but I got to tell you, this low mileage two-door JK, it's manual, it's got a bunch of quality upgrades on it, and it is for sale. So $22,500, that's going to be somebody's. We're doing a favor for one of our customers right now, and it's well worth the money. It's been really well cared for, and it's going to make somebody very, very happy. Cool Jeep, it's for sale, and we'll be having that listing available for people soon. You'll recognize this one from How to Buy a CJ7 video. It grew up a little bit. It got our signature SFJ CJ lift kit. We have Old Man Emu springs, we've got more off-road, we've got Fox shocks. Really nice stuff. It's got some beautiful fresh wagon wheels with just one of my favorite hybrid tires, the Goodyear Duratrack. So you'll see once we get the bluing washed off the raised white letters, this thing's gonna look period correct, but just with that extra little flavor that makes it so cool. This Jeep is the one that I was mentioning, is the Toad. I love it. You might recognize it from that Rhino rack install that we did previously. You can see our performance tech Greg standing on that rack. It's got a great load working limit. It also has one of the lowest profiles in the industry, so really cool stuff. It has the rock hard 4x4 full-size Patriot Series bumper, the Roadmaster tabs, so it actually has full tabs for that nice Nighthawk tow bar to go in place. We have this accent color blue, which is starting to fill out the Jeep a little bit. So we did the Factor 55 thimble with that. The Xeon 10S Platinum Series fully remote winch. And we've set this up so that it has the highest approach and departure angles possible for, for a towed Jeep, for a Jeep that's meant to go out there and explore. One of the things you'll notice is we have this really cool, this 2-inch receiver here, and there's actually a full rock bug guard that gets installed when the vehicle is in its towing position. And those little tweaks are just the unique things that make how we set up these Jeeps so unique. Pan around the side, we got the big rig. All right, here's the moment. I'm gonna light somebody up. This Jeep, you can see how it's wrecked, okay? Now I'd like to encourage you to comment below how much you think they were quoted to repair this. But I'll just let you know that it went into a dealership to get a mechanical repair quote for insurance, and the dealership wanted just under $10,000 to repair that. Folks, stop taking your cool Jeeps to dealerships. That wasn't really the choice of the folks who were into the accident. That was a recommendation on behalf of the insurance company. At $10,000, they were this close to scrapping this very cool 04 to 06 LJ Jeep. It's so nice, and it should never be scrap value. It should never be salvaged. So we're going to be tasked with working with the insurance company and creating an adequate repair on that vehicle. But this is my thing. Stop taking cool Jeeps to dealerships. I know the customer, they didn't really have a choice. The insurance shipped it off there, but they then made a good judgment call and called us and was like, hey Neil, I'm getting this crazy quote. Can you help us out? Because we don't want to see our Jeep get scrapped. So here it is. It's up from Pittsburgh now for us to take care of it. This blue Frankenstein, Rob Morgan was right. It is actually a YJ. So you go back, check out the previous video. We asked you to identify this Jeep. Has the leaf spring suspension in the front, the TJ Wrangler grille, and then to really top it off, it has CJ wheels on it. So it's using wheel adapters, it gets that big wide offset, and now it has the old school turbine CJ wheels. We continue to pan down. We have the everyday TJ, which is patiently waiting its turn in our rotation. Tub is back last week, got really well painted, and it's just ready to rock and roll. We all know this particular Jeep, love it. We're still having a few electrical little issues. It got a Tough Stuff alternator and a new replacement PWM fan because that red rock dust really wore out the electrical windings and bearings in those rotational assemblies on the front of the motor. So have fun in Moab, but hose out the engine bay. That's a good piece for everybody. The Patriot, which as we mentioned last time, is waiting to get a head job. We're gonna head inside, we're gonna check out Serenity and a couple other goodies we've got going on the racks. All right, Serenity is back, but I am really happy to say one of the things, and you're going to want to watch that 3-part series, and then the Savage, our videographer and editor, he went ahead and he cut it down to a more succinct how to diag and process death wobble. So there's actually 4 different videos out there on this particular Jeep. In the third and final video, we actually had taken the GoPro. A lot of people really enjoyed seeing the GoPro footage mounted facing forward and watching the axle kind of dance around. One of the last processes of diagnosis, we actually took the GoPro and I asked the guys to face it at the track bar and steering box mount itself. You'll want to see that clip. Davey kills an entire bag of, I don't know, 14 gajillion zip ties, pulling on, holding on that GoPro. But we put it on and it faces the sector shaft and steering box and then track bar mount. And when we actually brought it in, we took that footage and we slowed it down. You could actually see the steering box kind of shimmy one way and the frame ebb and flow kind of an opposite way. It was real gobbledygook all over together. And this is a perfect example of why steering box track bar braces exist. Fascinatingly enough, the customer was actually looking, we were looking, and we arrived at the same track bar, sector shaft, steering box brace. I got so excited, I'm spilling my coffee. It was a JKS brace assembly, and it has actually the really cool old school rod that goes all the way over to the passenger side frame. So we went ahead, brought that unit in, welded up the mount on the passenger side frame rail. We installed the sector shaft and track bar bracket on the driver's side frame, and then there's a special heavy gauge slug that welds in onto the driver's side as well. So this just absolutely ties the two frame rails together, gives it nice lateral support from frame rail to frame rail, and holds that box and track bar mount rigid in its position. I then took it, we rebalanced the tires, new to the Jeep tires, and checked air pressure. I then took it out onto the highway. I drove the exact same route that you can see. I drove 110 times in the videos, and I'm happy to say that at speeds at 70 plus and over, never once did this give me any type of shimmy, shake, or phantom wobbles whatsoever. So really tickled to see this one through, and I feel very good about where it's at. Keep on moving forward. We've got a cool YJ on the rack. We've got this particular TJ, which has been around. It's now in its second level of ownership with us. It's getting a lot of service and maintenance. We actually went ahead and recently removed the Toyo AT2s and wrapped it in beautiful new rubber with the Toyo AT3s. Open Country AT3. Love this tire. The AT2 Extreme is really cool as well, but this one just has a great carcass construction, really good road manners, and we're doing a 5 tire on it. We took 4 tires off, putting 5 tires on. We're also working through a computer control issue. It came in with all 4 O2 sensor codes, and through really good old school mechanical diagnostic, our team pinned out those different wires, traced them all back to the computer, checked continuity, resistance, and voltage, and determined that we actually have a computer control issue. We then went ahead, we gave a call to our buddy Mark at Wrangler Fix. Big shout out to Wrangler Fix and all that they do. We once again used one of their computers. Very successful. All the codes have been remediated, and really happy that we no longer have that O2 code sensor issue. Where that's really valuable is the fact that this is actually a vehicle that needs to be e-checked, and so we need that portion of the monitoring system to be correct. As we pan over here, I love this custom YJ. This one has just been a labor of love. The owner has been custom making the bumpers, the sliders, the reinforcement pieces, painting. It's his therapy, it's his pastime. It's something that he does to, just fully enjoy himself. We're going ahead and doing a re-gear. It's funny, I was talking with Greg about the fact that we only work on Jeeps, and everybody always is like, seriously, what if I bring you my Toyota, my Dodge Ram, my mom's Pontiac, I don't know, anything. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, we won't work on it. And the funny thing is, despite the fact that we only work on Jeeps, we learn something new every day. In this situation, we actually learned about the size of the hub on the Spider gears. So in 87 to 90, they actually have the shoulder of the Spider gear is roughly 1 5/8 inches versus 1.5 inches, which makes the interchange between carriers and Spider gears not work with other year models of 35. So when people think of a 35, we think of them being universal. And yet, here's another opportunity for us to learn and understand that despite the fact that we think it was a 35 all the way through the YJ production, we actually have differences in the carriers and the Spider gears themselves in the process. So just fun little things like that. Gear setup is going well. Greg's doing a great job, and we'll be out doing the break-in drives on that very, very shortly. Pan back through here, the guys are doing their thing. Scott's working on gas tank inspection, priming pumps. We have skids from Moto-Built, and we're doing, coating with POR 15 or a direct-to-metal paints, high quality direct-to-metal paints. There's the tubs ready, lying in wait to be installed. Replacement, big Mama Jamma 40s there, and the crowd favorite, #NotARestoration. So lots and lots and lots of goodies happening. Folks, make sure you check back in. Hit us up on the next Tech Tuesday. Leave a comment below if you saw something that was interesting or you heard something that you want to know more about. Reach out to us, give us a shout. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Hit us up on our text-only number, 440-855-2100. Let us know what you're doing with your Jeep and how we can help you. We hope you enjoy this look into SFJ 4x4, and we'll see you next week. Jeep on.